Welcome to Accenti's Countering Isolation with Creativity. This project is made possible through the financial support of Employment and Social Development Canada as part of the New Horizons Seniors Program. I'd like to acknowledge that I'm located in Jojage, Montreal. Our first workshop is Mixed Media Collage Self-Portrait with Cristina Pepe. And Cristina is a Vancouver-based educator and printmaker. She writes an art and culture blog called Pepe, and she loves to travel to Italy every year. Cristina is also a two-time winner of the Accenti magazine photo contest and a member of the executive of the Association of Italian Canadian Writers. Welcome, Cristina. Welcome, everyone. Looking forward to this workshop.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to my attic art supply closet. So we're going to play with the self-portrait today. And I was going to start with a little bit of history about the self-portrait. And then I'll do a demonstration of our project and also demonstrate some other techniques that we can incorporate into it. But before any of that, I wanted to ask if any of you had done your 3 self-portraits or have any art supplies with you to use today.
I'm all ready.
Thumbs up. Okay, Anna.
Art supplies we have.
Okay, so if you haven't done your portraits, you can do them, after the demo with your mirror, if you have one. It can be very simple. I'll show you mine later, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy. I just wanted to make sure that you all had something to work on later, so I could figure out how much time to leave. And if you have any questions at any time, you can just ask, or you can put it in the chat, but I'm fine with just, verbal questions too. So in terms of the self-portrait, it's a method of self-expression. And today, the selfie, on the phone is very popular, but the self-portrait's actually been around for centuries. And, before it became part of pop culture. So the first recorded self-portrait was in Egypt in like 1365 BC. It was the pharaoh's sculptor. It's documented that he did a self-portrait, but of course we don't have it anymore. And the self-portrait became popular in the early Renaissance. And self-portraits were considered really difficult because, of course, they didn't have mirrors back then. Before the mirror was invented, unless you were looking in a lake or had polished stone, you couldn't see what you looked like. Unless you had an identical twin, it was really difficult to do a self-portrait. And even when mirrors were available in the 1500s, they were very small and they were very expensive. So your average artist couldn't afford to have a mirror. So self-portraits, then were considered difficult to do. And artists used them almost like a business card, especially if it was an in-action self-portrait while they're working. And it was meant to attract clients. And the first mirrors, the first mirrors that were available were actually convex, like they were like this, and they distorted things. So I'm just going to share my screen. I've just chosen a few examples from history of my favorite examples of self-portraits. Just a sec here. Okay, so this is Parmigianino. This is about 1524, and this self-portrait was done on with a convex mirror, and you can see how it's kind of distorted. And what's interesting about this one is if you look at his hand the way it is, it almost looks like it's a modern phone selfie, with the big hand out in front, and so that was interesting about this one. And it's also framed on a half sphere of wood. So that makes it even more spherical looking. Rembrandt was the first artist that did lots of self-portraits. He did about 100 in his lifetime, and he did use a mirror to do his self-portrait, which of course, turned the image. And he's also known for using two mirrors. So he would paint the reflection into the other mirror so that he was not reversed. Caravaggio is one of my absolute favorite artists. His artwork is pretty realistic and brutal, kind of violent sometimes. So this is what he put himself in quite a few of his paintings, his face, but it was always kind of in a self-deprecating manner. So this David and the Head of Goliath here, that's Caravaggio's own portrait as the head of Goliath. And he painted this as a gift to a cardinal because he was on the run he killed someone in a sword fight, and he was on the run and he was hoping for a pardon from the Pope. So this painting was like here I am begging for mercy. And the other one here is the head of Medusa. Medusa, the mythological woman with snakes for hair, who turned people to stone if they looked at her. And I didn't even realize it until not that long ago that was actually Caravaggio's face in Medusa's place. This is another one of my favorite artists, Artemisia Gentileschi. And for women, the self-portrait was really important because, of course, they weren't allowed to go to art school. So, and they weren't allowed to take life drawing classes. So the only way they could paint people was to paint their friends or themselves. So you find that female artists in these times did a lot of self-portraits. And then this one, she's actually painting herself painting. So this was popular as a way to get clients as well. Van Gogh also did lots of self-portraits. This is him with his bandaged ear, and he used a mirror as well. And his reason for doing self-portraits was because he couldn't afford to pay someone to pose for him. And you're always available and you're free. So so that's another reason artists painted themselves. This is Picasso. He painted himself from the age of 15 to the age of 90, and I just chose 4 of them because this is interesting, because not only can you see how he changed physically, but you can also see how his work developed over the years from realism to cubism. Frida Kahlo, the Mexican artist, she also did a lot of self-portraits. She only painted 143 paintings in her life, and 55 of them are self-portraits. So she was in a horrific accident when she was 18 and was bedridden for a year. And her parents made an easel above her bed and stuck a round mirror into the canopy of her bed. So she spent a lot of time alone just painting herself from her bed. And she used the self-portrait to communicate her pain, both physical and emotional. And I believe that was the last one. So anyway, those were just a few of my favorite examples of self-portraits. Oh, stop share. Okay, I'm back. So anyway, our project that we were going to work on today is a mixed media self-portrait collage. And here I'm going to, I think I'm going to pin my other camera here. Okay, so hopefully you can all see that. So this is our mixed media collage portrait. It's on a wood panel You can use a piece of cardboard, you can use a wood panel, you can use canvas. I don't know what you've got, but even even a piece of paper is fine as long as it's a little bit thick, because you're going to be gluing stuff onto it. So I'll show that again later. What we're going to do with our 3 drawings. So here I've got one a la Picasso, one very old self-portrait, and a photocopy of another old self-portrait. So what we're going to do with these is crumple them into a ball. And you're probably going, I drew that. Why would you crumple it into a ball? It's just to make it have, to give it more texture and volume. So I'm going to crumple mine into balls. And then what we're going to do is tear them into pieces. And we're going to use pieces of the 3 pictures that we have torn apart to make a new self-portrait. Okay, so that's what we have here. You can kind of see that there's like 3 eyes and 3 eyebrows, and there you can see the glue lines. And my piece of board already had some paint on it. It wasn't anything finished. It was just something my nephew had done. So I just glued my stuff on top of it. So I will just.
Christina, what's a good size? Like if we've, should our background piece be about the same size as one of the original portraits? Like,
well, you want to make sure
little
your whole portrait can fit on there,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really matter.
okay,
You can make it bigger and add other stuff to it.
okay,
But if you're just doing a head, it's kind of like headshot size.
yeah, okay.
So I'm just going to randomly cut these up a bit. And you can use whatever art supplies you want. Did anybody bring photographs instead of pictures?
I've got a kind of a mix.
Okay, yeah, because you can just glue the photos in the same way. So, okay. So there's my, so I'm just going to start by putting something. So I'm using matte medium here. This is acrylic matte medium. What it is, it's basically acrylic paint with no color. That's basically what it is. So you can either use a spongy brush or a regular brush to put on your glue. The sponge brush does go on quite nice. So I'm just going to put that on the back of my my pieces of crumpled self-portrait. And so I've got a Picasso nose here, and I'll just put it right in the middle. Okay. And then what am I going to have? Here's a piece with some hair. So I will put that on the other side. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this part of the demo, but I just want you to get the idea here. Now, you can make your self-portrait look realistic, like it's actually human, or you can make your self-portrait completely abstract, cartoon, whatever you like. Here's a lip. We'll just make that smaller. There's, I don't know, lips there maybe. And what body parts am I missing? Maybe a neck. Here, this one is okay. And you can just cut your pieces however small you want them. There we go. will have a neck there. And then, you know, for hair, more hair, I can use, oh, I like that eye there, but that's okay. I've already got a Picasso eye. We'll use the eyebrow. Want to have quite a bit of room to do this too. I'm a little squished here because I have all my little demo things here. Okay, so now I can take the hair from my other photocopy if I want, or I can use something else for hair. I can use paper, or I can paint it. I can paint the hair, but I'll just use this for now. Sure, there we go. Okay, so that's what I started out with, and then I'll work on it some more. This is another one that's half, you know, sort of half done. You can sort of see that, you know, there's different pieces glued, and then what I did here is I painted some skin color paint just to bring it together, but that's not something that you know, you can do that if you want. So let me just move all these cut pieces here. You can actually make more than one with all your torn pieces. You can use them to make another one. So I'll show you this again. So here, this was painted. This is, I like to use lettering in my collages. I think they just look really cool. If you have stencils, those work nicely too. I didn't have any. The hair here is pieces of other artwork that I just ripped and put into here. And that's like a photocopy of hair from one of the pieces. And yeah, the column here is also from another piece of artwork. And then this pink here was already on my board. My nephew thought the squiggle made me look smart, so I left it in there. So you can use different decorative papers in your collage to add stuff. You can use like candy wrappers. If I had a gold one, I'd make my earrings with the, I can make earrings with that actually. You can take some rubbings. So I don't know if you remember doing this in like grade 2, where you put a thin piece of paper on top of something with writing and then rub over it. And then I have something written there. It means a smile is the same in all languages, which is kind of nice. I can also take like a Sharpie or something, and you know, like I can draw on top of my self-portrait here. Here, we'll make hair here, just to try to bring them together. This is definitely a one of those long skinny long skinny things. Okay. And other things you could, like, I can put that there. Let me find my writing. So I've got some writing here that I can collage into it. I can just kind of rip this and collage it onto the top or the side. So if we have time and anybody wants me to, I can walk you through how to do a photocopy transfer, which is what this writing is. There's several different ways to do that. And then, you know, this was transferred from a photocopy. onto here. Now you can also use pastels on top of here. And get some bright red lips. Those are oil pastels. You can also use chalk pastels, which are really great. But if you do use chalk pastels, you need to spray your your thing with fixative. If you don't have any fixative, hairspray will work in a pinch. But if you don't do that, then it'll just get chalky everywhere. So I will do one more thing here. I'll put some rice paper in here. That'll be like clothing. And then, you know, if I want, I can just grab some paint and I can put, like, I can just, you know, make some, like I said, I'm just doing this really quickly to show you what kind of things you can do. But, you know, you can, there we go. I'm definitely going for the Picasso look today. And what else have I got here? You know, if you want to make it a COVID self-portrait, you can put a mask on it. That will work with the matte medium. You can also, matte medium is really it's really quite thick. You can glue things into your self-portrait. Like this is a ring, but if I broke it off, I could glue that into my self-portrait. I was going to do my earring. Here, I'll just make a fancy earring here. I don't know how well this will stick, but there we go. Some bling. Okay, and you know, then you can go over your self-portrait with whatever you want. So anything goes. You can use lipstick. You can use whatever. I didn't put enough glue here, but I can fix that later. So when I'm finished, you know, everything I want to do, I would take matte medium and just go over everything, and that will seal it and, you know, protect it from coming apart. So anyway, that is, let me just see if I have any other doodads here. Have lots of samples. You can also take, if you have something from a magazine, like, you know, Many Hands Make Us United, I could, you know, I can collage that in there somewhere. There we go. I brought this doily too. So if you had a thin piece of paper, like rice paper works well, you could put it on top of the doily and then take a pencil or a crayon and do a rubbing, you know, just like you did in elementary school. And that would be nice for the background. I can show you a few other things you can do here. This is just a canvas where I've always just tried things. So in this corner here, if you just put some paint on your board, diluted paint, kind of watery, and put a paper towel over it. These are the squiggles in the paper towel. If you can see that. The pattern in the paper towel stays on here. These are photo transfers. If you want to, you can use gauze. The matte medium will work. That's right here. There's some of this cheeseclothy gauzy stuff. and then it's painted over. If you want to do a Van Gogh, a la Van Gogh bandaged ear, that would work. There's this is a piece of foil like the one I used for my earring. So it was crumpled up, and then some coins were just pressed into that, and then it was glued on here. So there's endless amounts of things you can do to make images and then incorporate them in your self-portrait. So, oh, and here, let me do one more thing. So here's a drawing on a piece of vellum. So I can just maybe add that right on top. You know, and it's see-through. It's see-through, so you'll be able to see what's underneath it. So that might look kind of interesting. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so now I have a 3D effect there. Okay, and then like I said, you would just put the matte medium over everything when you're finished. But you know, I never know when I'm finished. I mean, does anyone ever know when they're finished? You could keep working on something forever. And then, you know, on the sides here, where I've just got the underpainting, I could put more paper. I can rip up more of the lettering that I have. I've just found this over here. It's looks like a piece of a painted bird's nest, but if I flip it this way, I could collage it in as a piece of hair, a section of hair. So, you know, if you look around, you'll find lots of stuff. Does anyone have questions so far?
I'm cursing myself that I hadn't tried to open the matte medium because it's stuck. So
Oh, try putting it under hot water.
okay, I'll try. It's been a long time since I'd opened it up.
I had the same problem last night with mine.
So I'm using glue, which is not so great.
Well, it's okay for today. I mean, the only problem with glue is that it's not like it's not going to keep, but you know, you can just start with that, and then next time you can use something that's a little more permanent.
Yeah.
So did you guys want to start working on your yours, or have you already done that? Have you guys started working on your collages?
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you want to show me anything, just let me know, and I can have a look on your screen. You're really little right now, but I can make you bigger. You know, even after you put the matte medium on at the final coat, you can still work on top of it. That's not a problem at all. This one here, I did this in 2014, so it's still, you know, it's lasted. It will keep. Now, do any of you want me to go over how to do a photocopy transfer?
Sure, go ahead.
Do you want me to do it now, or do you want me to give you a few minutes to do your stuff?
Give us a couple minutes.
Okay, I'll
Yeah,
give you a few
couple would be
minutes.
good.
Just if anyone has questions, just shoot.
Christina, do you recommend framing these works or just leaving them raw like this?
If it's on a board and it's coated in matte medium, it doesn't need to be framed on top, but you can frame around it if you like. But like the top is fine to not be framed. If it's on paper, like this one here is just on paper that has gesso on it. So it's thick, but you know, if I put a few layers of matte medium on top, it's probably also okay to not frame.
Do you the one you showed before with the box, the frame? Do you do that yourself, or do you have it done in an art, I guess, an arts and crafts store, or
Oh, the thing.
box?
It's
the
called
box
a
frame.
cradled panel. You can buy them at art supply stores.
Okay.
You can get them this thick, or you can get them thicker.
Okay.
I have one right here. So this one has a thicker border.
Okay.
Okay. So they're called cradled panels.
Cradled panels. And you just use regular white glue or matte medium to glue the work?
Yeah, matte medium works the best because it's also archival and it sticks better. But if you just wanted to use plain old white glue, that will work.
Mm-hmm.
Or even a glue stick will work. And the matte medium also comes in a tube. That probably, if you don't use it very much, the tube is better because it won't, you won't have the problem where it sticks and you can't open it.
Right.
Is everyone doing okay with their stuff?
I wonder if there's anyone who would like to show the progress of their work.
They may not have had enough time, but there's one more thing I'll show you is if you have tissue paper, you know, you can actually add texture with tissue paper that like you can make it bumpy like this. I'll just glue that in and we can see what it looks like. So you can put that in to be a scarf or something. You can make your self-portraits really personal by, you know, putting in something of yourself. Like I always give mine earrings because, you know, I never don't have earrings. There we go. And when this is dry, you can just put matte medium right over it and you've got texture. And you can paint on top of it too. If you don't like pink, you can paint it a different color. Just go right on top of it. Acrylic paint is really versatile. You can pretty much paint anything with it. The only thing you can't paint on top of with acrylic paint is oil paint. So that's the only thing you can't paint on top of. Okay. Another thing you can do your thing on top of is a canvas. I'm just getting it down here. Is this canvas paper? So it's not canvas, it's paper, but it's textured like canvas. So if you plan to use a lot of paint on top of your self-portrait, then this is a good option. It's not as hard as a wood panel, but you can always glue this onto a wood panel afterwards. And then you have the hard surface. that you can hang on the wall.
Christina, if I may ask you, how many self-portraits do you have of this type?
Me?
Yes, how many have you done over the years?
Quite a few. I mean, you know, if you take art classes, it's doing a self-portrait, just a plain old self-portrait, is a common first class homework assignment. And, you know, I kind of always groaned like, oh, not another self-portrait. But, you know, taking a few of them and doing a collage makes it more interesting. But I have quite a few. I have a few behind me here, and I probably have about 5 or 6 that I've done over the years.
That's not too bad. It's not as many as who did you say
Frida,
before?
no, not like Frida, but I don't put myself in the same category as her.
Why not?
Well, on the screen, this looks kind of interesting. It does look very Picasso-ish, but as I said, I wasn't. I was just trying to do a demo, so.
I would call it post-Picasso.
Post-Picasso, oh dear.
Everything is post these days, so this is definitely post-Picasso.
Yeah, I think you're right. Are you guys all doing okay so far with your project?
I'm doing 2 at once.
That's good. I like to do that. That's if I had
Got all
more
these
space,
bits,
I
so
would be
figure I'll
doing
use
it
them
too.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always good to work on 2 or 3 different things, because then, you know, you can use the paint you mixed up for all 3 of them and try different things on each one. It's a good idea. And you can also put fabric into these with like the matte medium I've even put keys in to collages. And here's a couple of other things that you can do as well. I don't know how well this shows up. So this is, I think it was oatmeal, like just some oatmeal put in with the matte medium, and then it was painted on top. So it gives you like texture. And I think this one of them was, what's it called? Polenta.
Cornmeal.
Cornmeal, yeah. So one of these was cornmeal, I think maybe this one. And this one was oatmeal. And there's tissue paper underneath that's all crinkly. So you can see when you paint on top of the tissue paper, you know, you can paint different colors and get all these designs here. Also, if you, I couldn't find one in my house, but if you have one of those little doilies, you know, those paper doilies that they put on trays, you can put the doily on and then put gesso or matte medium in, so it goes into the holes, and then you end up with this design here. This may or may not be a self-portrait. No comment. So fabric scraps, stamps, like postage stamps. I often will use postage stamps because, well, what else am I going to do with my old stamp collection from many years ago? If you go on vacation, you can, you know, you can collage in. This is I think this is a bus ticket from Rome. So I could just glue that in somewhere, you know, personal stuff. To personalize your self-portrait. If you do want to use text that you're going to transfer, you can use, you want to photocopy it in mirror image, so that when you transfer it, it's legible. Otherwise it will be backwards. I can almost see what Jean-Marie is working on.
Because I'm in the process of moving, so I don't really have so many things here, but I just started taking, I have a picture actually I did of myself 5 years ago. And also you can use your camera.
Yeah.
Because Zoom, right? We're seeing
Yeah.
it up close. And so I'm just trying, I started taking some Japanese paper that I have. And also because I started drawing again many years ago. I also have different pencils and
That's
charcoal.
great. You can never have too many art supplies.
You can never have too many, really. Yeah.
Yeah. And Japanese paper is the best. I want to go to Japan just to buy paper and glue.
I have this, well, he was a PhD colleague friend who lives in Singapore, but he always sends me all kinds of supplies.
Oh, those are really great.
Yeah. And actually we do in Montreal, there is a Japanese paper store that you can get similar
Yeah,
stuff.
we have one in Vancouver too. One other thing you can use for your glue. Have you ever seen this? Yamato. It's a Japanese glue and it's really, really nice. Like I said, I want to go to Japan to buy glue and paper. So it just needs to be mixed with a little bit of water and then it works really well. To do the end after when everything is dry, it is best to use the matte medium though. Well, my bus ticket is stuck, so I might as well just glue it in. There we go. So you can paint with watercolor on top of here too. I've got these watercolor crayons, so if I wanted to, I could just take a brush with water on top of it, but I don't think I'm going to do that because I've got the chalk pastel, so it's going to make a bit of a mess. So. So I see someone asked about the Japanese paper store in Montreal. I don't know the answer to that one, but the one in Vancouver, I'll just write in here. So since 3 of you are local here, it's Paper Ya on Granville Island. I like shopping there. Always got lots of stuff. And Delia, yes, this definitely could be something you could do as a hobby. You don't even have to do the collage just for a self-portrait. You can do anything. You can collage, like behind me here, I have, oops, I'm on a short leash. I'm on a short leash here. So behind me, I have, oh, I guess I'm not pinned anymore. Let me just, there we go. So here's another collage. This is not a self-portrait, but it is a collage. It doesn't really fit in the screen. It's a little weird shape. So this is a combination of photos and tissue paper, crumpled up tissue paper that was painted later. And this is part of a photo, but I painted over the trees afterwards. And this is part of a photo and part painted. And then these trees, they were photos. You can see how they're higher than the rest of it. I don't remember, I don't think they were actually trees though. I just cut the shape out of trees and stuck them on there. And this down here is also a photo, but it was painted afterwards. So there's tons of things you can do with collages, like as well as a self-portrait. Delia, are you working on something now?
No, I'm not, but I'm really enjoying it. Your presentation.
Oh, thanks, Delia. Yeah, watching is good too.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen anything like it before. Like, you know, if I thought of doing a painting, let's say, I said, where do I start? What do I do?
Yeah. The other thing I always tell everyone is never throw anything away. Like if you're drawing or, you know, like if you think, oh, this is crap, don't ever throw it away because you can always recycle it into a collage. You can recycle anything into a collage.
Good. Dominic is going to record this. I'd love to have my son see this presentation because
it is being recorded. I'm also going to put in the chat. I dropped it on the floor. In the chat, I'm going to put a link that if you guys want the instructions on what we're doing here, it's in a blog post.
Okay.
So I'm just going to type that in. Can't reach my computer, but oh. Okay, there, I put it in the chat.
Okay, thanks.
Do you guys want me to talk about photo transfers now, or would you rather concentrate and wait a few more minutes? There's no rush. We do have time.
For me, it's okay if you talk while we work.
Okay. So photo transfers, there's many different ways to do them. Has anyone done them before? So one really easy way to do them is to use this blender marker. It's basically a marker with no color. And the the solvent in it will transfer the toner from a photocopy. So this is what I used to do this up here that I put up here. So it was photocopied in reverse. Sorry, photocopied in reverse. This is some of Michelangelo's poetry that I copied, and then I use it all the time. It's also here. It's the same piece of writing.
Sorry, Christina, if I could interrupt,
here.
how did you photocopy it in reverse?
Yeah, well, on the photocopier, you can do mirror image.
Ah, in Word, say, or
What's that?
which application, Word or Photoshop or
No, this was on a photocopier.
a photocopier?
Yeah, you
Oh, I
can
see.
also do it on the computer, but it's easier to just do it at the photocopier. And this has to be done on a traditional photocopier, because if you do it on your inkjet printer, it won't work
Okay.
because it doesn't have a toner.
Okay. When you said photocopier, I thought printer for some reason, but
Yeah, I know.
you actually meant photocopy.
Photocopiers are sometimes hard to find. So what you do with this is you put it down on what you want to copy. So I did it on a piece of rice paper, but you don't have to do that. You can do it directly on your whatever you're gluing your stuff onto. So I could just go like this right here. And then you take the marker and just go over it like this. Go over the lettering, just maybe like an inch at a time. And then you take something, you know, that you can use to rub. So a wooden spoon works really well, or a spoon, like a little spoon, and you rub. And this is probably not going to work because this was already used. But let me get another copy. I've got lots. Here's another copy. And let's see if this actually works. My background is kind of dark, so it might be a little difficult. Now this, you want to do this with your window open because it's pretty smelly. I'm pretty sensitive to smells. So let me just rub it. And then I'll see if it worked. Yeah, it's working, but it's very pale. So I'll just do it again. Sometimes you have to kind of soak it. There we go. Rub it with the glue stick. Okay, let's see if it worked. Yeah, it did. I mean, it's very light because my background is so dark, but I don't know if you can see it right there. Yeah, it's visible there. So it transferred the photocopy onto the painting. And again, if you're going to do this with lettering, you want to make sure it's turned around. I'll show you some other examples here. This is my this is like a little book that I made. So this is my my passport from when I came to Canada and my immigration papers. So I photo transferred them. This one is directly transferred onto this paper, and so is this. This one was transferred onto rice paper and then glued in. So that's other kind of collage stuff you can do with the Blender photo transfer. So this, where did I put it? This is, again, it's called a Blender marker, and it's made by Chart Pack. I can put that in the chat too. it's available at any art supply store, and it's not the color, it's no color, it's just called blender or mélangeur in French. And I don't remember how much these cost, but it's not a lot. It might be like $4 at the most. And they have them at Opus. They have them at Phoenix Coastal Art in Steveston. Here's another example of my passport. I did this one yesterday and it actually came out really nice. One of these days I want to make a collage with all my my old passport and some old photos, but I haven't gotten around to it. So that's a Blender marker transfer. Another way to do photo transfers is with matte medium. So if you take a photocopy and put about 5 layers of matte medium on it, but let them dry in between. And then when it's dry, you turn it over and just put some water on your fingers, and you're basically removing all the paper. So the toner will stick to the plastic in the matte medium and the paper will be removed. And you end up with something that looks like this. So this one's been painted over, but this was a drawing, and I put the 5 layers of matte medium, took off most of the paper in the back, and I end up with this, which, you know, can be collaged in. I've got a few more here that I can show you. I've got, I use these a lot, collaging them into paintings. I have so much stuff on my work table now that I can't find it, but oh, here we go. So I've got the Colosseum here. So this one, you know, sometimes they rip because it's kind of delicate, but I just go with the flow. It looks good ripped too. And then this one, the paper hasn't been removed yet, but this is me when I was 2. So I've used this in several collages as well, because it's just too cute. You can collage actual photos, like just cut them up, you know, cut them up and put them in. Let me see if I have scissors. So there we go. So I've got that I can collage it in here somewhere. We'll put it in the corner. And then you can always paint on top of the photos. Here, we'll put it on top of here. Well, and here let's use the gauze as well, the piece of gauze. What are we going to do with this? Well, I'm just going to put some matte medium down and just stick it anywhere. So I didn't put enough matte medium, but I can put it on top. This can make some pretty creepy looking hair. There we go. when you paint this, it looks really interesting because, you know, the paint, the first layer of paint will go into the, you know, the little cracks, but then the next layer will go on top. So you kind of get a two-tone effect. So it can be really interesting looking. There we go. So when that dries, I can paint it, and I can also rub like a oil pastel on it, and that will also give me a two-tone effect.
Christina, if I may ask you a question that might seem silly, but can you overdo
No such
it?
thing.
Can you overdo it when you do these kinds of collage montages?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, is it ever finished? I mean, you never really know when it's finished. Just, oh, I like it now, I'll stop. But you can keep going. Like you can even paint over the whole thing, everything you just did. You can just paint a solid color over it, and that will give you a lot of texture and shapes, and then you can work on that.
So you can't ever, you know, do too much.
I don't think so. And you also should never throw anything away.
Right.
Like this isn't something I would frame, but I'm going to keep it because I can always do something with it.
It's
You know,
also
I mean,
it's also like a kind of memento of you at a moment in time, right?
yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like scrapbooking, maybe. But
I actually just wanted to mention, I saw this really interesting film once that was made in the 1950s with Picasso painting. And what was really interesting was he would take entire paintings that were finished already that he did, and he would paint totally over them.
yeah.
Like, it was just amazing, like totally.
And he would say it's part of the process.
Yeah.
It's the underpainting. It's part of the process. I've got some paper here with leaves in it too. So you can also put leaves in your collage, because once you put matte medium on top of them, they will be preserved. Like this stuff is like, you can basically put almost anything, glue almost anything in there with matte medium. I didn't use my candy wrapper. It was a pretty color, but
I would say it doesn't need it.
no, I was just using it for an example. So what I would need to do with mine is wait for it to dry, because the pink here, the pink scarf over here, I can color over that, but not till the matte medium is dry and it's still pretty wet. And this gauze here is going to take a while to dry, because I had to use so much matte medium to hold it down. So that's probably all I would do, is go over those. You know, I can color where the lettering is, but I think I'll just leave it. Now, as well as matte medium transfers, you can also use there's all sorts of mediums these days for acrylic paint. You know, every week they seem to come up with a new one. So this is called clear tar gel, and it's basically thicker. So you can end up with a photocopy transfer that's thicker, but it's more plasticky like. But you know, that might be the look you're going for. You know, I think this one is made with tar gel, the Coliseum here. I have another one at the end of the table. I don't know if I can reach it. Let me just grab it. So this was just, you know, I did this a long time ago. I was just learning how to do this. So it's an unfortunate choice of paint color, but this is just from a photograph that was photocopied, and it has to be a photocopier with the toner. And I just transferred it onto this canvas, and it's very smooth. Like there's no ridges where I put it in. So that's one that came out well. So, with this, you can paint on top of it, or you can paint underneath it. And, like I said, it's an unfortunate color choice. I wouldn't have, yellow wasn't the best choice, but it's interesting what you can do with photo transfers. The possibilities are endless. So does anyone want, you don't have to share if you don't want to, but does anyone want to share what they've done so far? Crystal?
Sorry, I had muted. I ended up doing kind of two at once.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
great.
I had some extra, but now I think it's just going to be one. And then when I paint it or do something, I'll try to differentiate. And so I had a few pictures of me, which I'd ripped up.
Is that you?
Yeah, it's mostly me. I had, and
Oh yeah, I see.
I did just photocopies of
Yeah.
stuff.
So you used
And
mostly
then
photos.
I had,
right?
there are a couple of things that are my mom. She was in one of the pictures. And then I have been very influenced by the Wicked Witch of the West. So I thought I would put her in there.
Yeah, I
So
really
playing around with that a little bit. And then I have Sylvia Plath and Ted Hughes somewhere in there. And so
okay. Yeah, I see
I'm
them.
just going to kind of play with that a little bit. Yeah. So that's Sylvia Plath at the top. And I just think it's kind of cool. So
Yeah, it is.
I'll do a bit more playing and see what happens.
Yeah, and then when you decide you're finished, just put a few coats of the matte medium on. You can even use gloss medium if you prefer a glossy finish. I like matte, but if you prefer gloss, that's okay too for the top. Anyone else want to share? You're muted. Anna, I think you're trying.
Yeah, I took a slightly different approach, and so I
Oh, I love it.
outline, and then I just kind
I
of
love the yeah, that's the great thing about this project is you can, you just use your imagination and do anything.
yeah. So I just started going through magazines and tearing paper and cutting images that appealed to me and that had something to do with me.
Yeah, it could make it so personal.
Yeah.
Ah, great. So Delia, you're just watching, right? You're getting all this, down. And Jean, did you want to share yours with us or?
Sure, it's it's kind of a funny thing because one of the things I had was this little book from Quebec on how you're supposed to ride your bike. So I did this combination of things.
Cool.
Which yeah, it just says like, my helmet, it's my only protection. And of course here it's like, watch out. And here it's come out of the dark. So
some bike safety theme.
Yeah. Well, you can put into it whatever you like. So
yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. You all seem to be getting the hang of this. Does anyone have questions about any of the techniques?
it's really kind of Dadaist or something.
It can be. It can
Yeah.
be, yeah. And, like I said, I've got, I've got enough scraps to make 2 more.
But it's, if you just think of it as like continuing to layer, right?
Yep.
Like with this, it's just the beginning of something.
Yeah, and
So-
the more you layer, the more texture and the more depth that your painting will have. And like I said, even to just paint it, if you don't like it, just paint it all one color and start over. But you've got an underpainting now, and you've got texture to work with.
It occurs to me that you don't have to do a portrait. You can do almost anything. I mean,
Yeah.
you can create any kind of art.
Well, you can a collage. You can make anything. I just chose the self-portrait as a subject, but you can do anything.
Right.
Collaging anything. If you go on a memorable trip or there's a memorable event, you can make a collage with tokens like, a bus ticket, a token. You can all collage them all into your painting.
Can you, would you mind going over again? You said you used matte medium and then you let it dry and then you put on more and then
The
you,
photo transfer?
yeah, and then you rubbed off the paper. Could you just, I sort
Yeah,
of
let me
half
just
it here when you were.
Find one here. So this is a photocopy of Michelangelo's poetry. I use this a lot. So what you would do is just, just spread the matte medium, just a thin layer, let it dry, and then do another thin layer. So you want about 4 or 5 layers. And then when it's dry, you turn it around and be careful not to use too much water because you'll rip it. So just dip your fingers. I've got some water here. I'm just going to dip my fingers in water and you just gently rub the back. And it's a bit messy, but all the paper from the back will be removed and you'll be left with this little plastic film with your transfer on it.
Oh, and how much time in between? Like how much drying time?
Well, just as long as it's dry, probably about 10 minutes.
Okay, so not
But you
very
can
long.
also use a hair dryer if you want to speed it up.
Okay.
I usually do a whole bunch at once if I'm going to do this because, it's not really, it's kind of a pain to just do one and wait. But if you're doing a whole bunch, then you don't have to even remove the paper right away. You can just store them. And I mean, I have tons of these lying around, with the same, I keep using the same images, like the poetry. Although this one wouldn't make a very good matte medium transfer because there's too much space in between. You need an image that has enough black and gray to hold it together.
Right.
So this wasn't a great example. But
and can you use some gloss medium for that particular process?
You can, but your transfer will be very shiny.
Yeah.
But you can use it, yes. And also that tar gel that I showed you, it's also going to be very shiny, but it's also stronger. Yeah, photo transfers are really fun. Let me see if, where did I put my book? Just gonna see if there's any more in here I can show you. Yeah, here's one. This is the church in my village in Italy here. So you can kind of see that it's been glued on. It's not been transferred right onto the paper. And for this one, not all of the paper came off the back, but it's okay. It still worked. It still worked. That's what we got here. Yeah, and that's another picture, and then some lettering there. So the lettering, if you want to transfer the lettering, it has to be in reverse, like a mirror image. Otherwise, your transfer will be mirror image. And this here, this old faithful thing here, we've got, so these are photo transfers directly onto here. So basically I painted not a dark color, a light color, and then transferred it directly on here. And then this one's on rice paper. So this, you can see my Michelangelo's poetry here. So this one looks like it's directly on here, but it's not. It's actually, you can see the line of the rice paper. So I just glued it. Yeah. There's also another way to do transfers with a heat transfer, almost like a t-shirt machine. But, you know, nobody has one of those lying around. So
And what medium do you mainly work with, Christina?
well, mostly I do printmaking. You can see my little press behind me.
I thought you were actually a printer person, a print
Yeah.
person. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mostly do is printmaking. Monotypes, if you know what those are.
Yeah.
But I also do some painting, and I make books.
Okay.
I do too many different things and don't have enough time for any of them. But yeah, mostly printmaking.
Are you ever part of the art crawl?
No, you mean the one? Yeah, no, I would love to do that. I just don't. I just tend to not have enough time to produce enough stuff, and I don't have my own studio. I mean, I'm in my house right now, but it doesn't meet the catchment area for. It's close, but not quite.
Uh-huh.
I do belong to the Malaspina Printmakers Co-op on Granville Island and Dunderave Printmakers Co-op.
Yeah. I just thought if you were part of the crawl, those of us who live out here could come by and see you.
Well, you can come and visit me anyway. I'm here. Are you in North Van?
No.
Is that you?
No. That I forget who that was. Someone else is, yeah.
Crystal. Okay. Does anyone have any other questions? If you think of any, I think my email was on the initial instructions that were sent out to you. And if you want to look up the step-by-step instructions on what we did today, I've put the address of the post in the chat. I should have put it on the instructions. I didn't think of that.
Actually, Christina, I added another link because that first one didn't work.
Oh,
so it looks like
I must have written something.
The month is different. It's 0. Yours was 04 and the one I found was 05.
It should be
that one
02,
works.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah.
I can't reach my computer, so I was like typing like that. Frankenstein typing.
And before we go, I'd just like to invite all of you to send a screen capture of your artwork if you'd like to.
That would be fun.
Yeah, and perhaps we can post them, Licha. I don't know if you want to add something to that.
Well, if those of you who have created something today, if you would like to send them to accenti@accenti.ca, we will share them on social media. I've already shared a photo of Cristina and what she was showing you on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook while you were working, Cristina, just like
Oh.
a photo. Yeah.
Snuck that in, did you?
Well, that's what I'm here for, right? But I think this was a wonderful way to start our series of workshops. I learned, I was here the whole time. I didn't actually do anything. I am over 55, so I qualified, but I didn't because I was doing, the sort of the feedback to the technical person. But it was really, really interesting and informative. I really enjoyed it. And one of the questions I have is whether you've done these in person, Cristina. I mean, Zoom is, as Zoom is Zoom, but do you give these workshops in person in Vancouver or?
No.
No,
Haven't as of yet. I just do them myself.
because me, I'm always thinking Italy. I would love to do this in Orvieto with you.
Yeah, I
There's some
have
people
been
there.
to Italy to do printmaking, but not to teach. No,
Okay.
but it would be
What about for
fun.
the future when we retire?
Art is always fun.
Yeah, just like you said, we don't have the time to do it all, right? But yeah, we will find the time. Dominic?
There's a message from Jean-Marie. So the instructions, if you tried the second link there that Lecha sent
Okay,
at 10:02, that will get you to the instructions.
okay.
If it
Oh.
doesn't work, email me and I'll email you the link.
That one
separately.
works. That one works.
I wondered if you guys wanted to say more about Accenti or whatever, like I had
Accenti?
only found out about this through that truck thing that I saw you two guys at.
Yeah, Crystal, that was fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was worth going just to meet you, Crystal.
Okay, thanks.
Accenti magazine. It's
Oh.
Dominic is the publisher. I'm the editor in chief.
Okay.
This is the first time we do a workshop, isn't it, Dom?
Yes, we've done writing workshops. We've done the Shut Up and Write, the write with
Oh
the
yes,
Chance
that's
series.
right. We do the Shut Up and Write
We
2
do.
Saturdays a month.
We have 3 contests we do every year: a writing contest, a photo contest, and a poetry contest. We used to be in print until well, before the pandemic, but it wasn't the pandemic that knocked us out of print. It was just the environment. So now we're just online. We've been around for 20 years. And we essentially publish articles that make the link between Italy and Canada. It's an English language publication. We post 6 times a year and have a newsletter. So if you'd like to receive the newsletter, you can go on our site, accenti.ca, and register for the newsletter. There's a lot to say, but I'm going to stop there. So.
I'm putting the link to the poetry contest because that's the deadline for the poetry contest is actually May 31st. The first prize for the winning poem is $1,000, and then 3 runner-ups for $100 each and publication. So if any of you write poetry or know anyone who writes poetry, feel free to share that link. The photo contest has not been announced yet this year. This year, for the first time, we're spacing the contests. We're doing one. I don't know if you've noticed that. Those of you who know Accenti.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, because it was just a lot to manage the 3 contests simultaneously, not to advertise them, but then with the juries and all of that's so we're doing it one at a time. And yes, and also you will have seen probably that there is the next workshop in our series of workshops is the one by Monica Meneghetti. So that one is coming up.
I have it here. It's June 11th, Saturday, June 11th at 2, between 2 and 3:30.
Eastern time.
Eastern time. The title of which is Alienation, Immigrants, and Other So-Called Outsiders. And
yes.
It's a writing workshop.
Yeah, and that one you can already register for now. So if you're interested, if you're available, feel free to do so. Feel free to share the link with anyone who is, might be interested. And after that, we've got Vincenzo Pietropaolo at the end of June, June 28th. The details for that are not up yet. You can't register for that yet. Workshop 4 is by Anna Nobile. Anna's here today. And that would be on July 13th. So I think, yes, up to July 13th. Then there are 5 more or 6 more. Those dates are not, we haven't identified the dates yet. So that page will include the details as they become available.